Life isn't falling apart, it's falling into place. If you're finding right now in your life that you made an intention to level up, but you're seeing all of these challenges and tests come up, and you've seen this before many times and you just don't know why, and every time it happens, it doesn't quite lead you forward, you keep falling back into your old patterns. This is why. Once you understand this, you'll know exactly why something like this happens, and you'll know why 99% of people never are able to break free, and you'll know what you need to do, exactly what you need to do to move past these barriers and come out the other side and be successful, be happy, be fulfilled, and live the life that you want to live. The very first thing we have to understand is when you make the intention, life tests your resolve. Throughout history, if you look at some of the most successful people who've reached the top of their fields, J.K. Rowling, she was rejected 12 times by publishers until she finally found one who would publish Harry Potter, and now she's the first female billionaire. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple. Despite all of this setback, they still were able to reach the top of their field. Why? What changed? It's very simple. And you're going to be kicking yourself once you actually understand this. So when you make the intention, life will test your resolve. If you are facing tests, challenges, that means something is actually going right. That means that this is a good thing. This is actually a very good thing. Because if you're not being tested and if you're not being challenged, that means you're not growing. That means you're living in your comfort zone. I want you to think about this for a second. When we live in our comfort zones, when we're extremely, extremely comfortable, we're virtually dead. When are you the most comfortable? When you're dead. When are you the most alive? What does it mean to be alive? The very meaning of being alive is to feel pain. When you feel pain, you are alive. You are very much so alive. But people don't know how to process this pain. And so this pain becomes suffering. Pain is a very necessary element to life. The Buddha, one of the wisest sages ever to walk the earth, said life is pain, life is suffering, right? And if you want to experience a fruitful life, it's learning how to deal with this pain and how to transmute it into the highest joys of life that make it worth it. So if you're going through a time in your life right now and you're not quite seeing the results you want to see, the chances are you haven't learned how to process this pain correctly. And so this leads me to the next part, understanding why life actually tests us. Why life tests us. So if you look at this diagram right here, which clearly looks like it's been drawn by a kindergartner, we have a blue circle here with the label C on it. That is our current life. If you imagine, if you're familiar with quantum theory, you understand that there's many different possible sectors of reality, parallel universes that can be manifested. This red circle is a potential reality. The green circle is a potential reality, and this magenta purple circle is also a potential reality. From our current lifeline, there's two main things that influence which lifeline we move to. And that is the coherence that we have in our heart and our mind. Whatever we hold to be true in our mind and whatever we feel strongly in our heart, when our hearts and our minds come together, we make a shift to one possible lifeline. For example, when your heart and mind comes together in fear that you might lose it all, fear that all the money will run out, then you shift to this negative lifeline or the lifeline where money is running out. When your heart comes together in the pleasure of accumulating money and having abundance and feeling good about it, and your mind focuses on all of the opportunities that are out there, then you'll notice all of these opportunities and you will shift to that lifeline. If you continue along your current path thinking and feeling how you've been thinking and feeling, then you will not face any challenges. You will simply keep continuing on in your current path. If you notice people when they get to their, and I'm just saying in general, when people are kind of done trying to level up and trying to grow, they become comfortable. They're working their job and they're experiencing what they want to experience in their lives. They've just kind of given up. They're comfortable. Then they just continue along this path. They have a nice job. It's secure. It's stable. They might not be fully fulfilled, but they don't want to take a risk, right? They're too old. They're too drained of energy. Maybe they don't have enough drive, so they just stay where they are. But when they stay where they are, they don't face challenges. If you want a life without challenge, then be okay with mediocrity. Be okay with staying where you are. Because when you stay where you are, you will not face any challenge. That is for damn sure. Okay? So, we're switching from lifeline to lifeline. Now, the important thing to understand here, the key thing to understand here is heart and mind coherence is what causes a shift amongst lifelines. So now you might be wondering, I made the intention to level up. My heart and mind were together when I made the intention to experience more abundance. Why isn't it happening for me? Well, here's why. The key is, anytime these tests and challenges are being thrown at us, when we make the intention to level up, we're actually making a very stark shift from, let's say, this is the lifeline we were moving towards. That's our current lifeline. And we try to move to these lifelines. Well, when we're switching from lifeline to lifeline, what's happening is our old is being destroyed so that the new can fall into place. So these apparent tests and challenges that you're facing that you just can't explain, that you just can't understand why this is happening, why you feel so miserable, why you just keep facing bill after bill and worry after worry and, unfortunate incident after unfortunate incident. You just can't explain it. It almost feels like you've been cursed by bad juju, right? It's because the old is clearing itself so that the new can come in. And when that happens, it's a process of shaking up your reality. This is very uncomfortable. We're destroying your old identity, your old beliefs, your old thoughts, and the old ideas that you held to be true. We're completely destroying it so that there is space for the new to come in. Every time in my life I've leveled up, the old me was destroyed so that I would be open to receiving the new me, the new version of me that I was becoming. Okay? So, when a shift along lifelines happens, that's when these tests and challenges appear. Now, the biggest issue is that your heart and mind, your attitude towards your reality is what influences which reality experience. When your heart and mind come together and, hey, I made this intention to level up and these things that are happening are good, they're helping me, my attitude is positive, my attitude is corresponding to the frequency of this lifeline. Every single lifeline has its unique corresponding frequency. That's an F, by the way. And so when our thought energy attunes, our heart and mind attunes to this frequency of this positive lifeline, then we basically create a projection within reality that makes us move towards this. So it's kind of like if you look at your mind, psychocybernetics, Maxwell Maltz talks about this. Our minds have a servo mechanism. Whatever we focus on, we move towards. Whatever target we place in our mind, we move towards. So if you know the example of being on the highway, you look at the car next to you, you try to avoid it. The more you try to avoid it, the more you move towards it. We have target fixation, right? So it's very, very important to place the right target, because whatever you want to avoid, you will move towards. Whatever you want to move towards, you will move towards. So it's the content of your thoughts that matters. So in this particular example, when your life is falling apart, what do most people do? Just think about it. How do most people respond to that? How do they react to that? Oh no, bills. Oh no, problems. something is going wrong. Oh no, I am not moving towards this. I'm actually moving towards this negative lifeline. And so when your attitude becomes such that I'm moving towards a negative lifeline, then your thought energy corresponds to this lifeline. And therefore reality says, oh, okay, cool. You are moving towards a negative lifeline then. And so then it gives you more negative events, more problems, more issues, more challenges, because the content of your thoughts is, this is bad. This, the content is this, and the intensity is very strong towards this. So therefore I move more and more towards this, which happens to be negative. Now, if you were to look at these tests, challenges, setbacks, and somehow look at them as, hey, this is serving the reality I want to move towards. This is actually a good thing. That means reality is revitalizing itself so that I can move towards what I want to experience. I want you to take a moment to reflect on that for a second. Every single event that happens is inherently neutral. We, subjective observers, place a positive or a negative sign on it. Okay? So when I put a positive sign on it and I connect it to, this is actually the path that I must go through to move towards the goal that I want to get to. So if you've made the decision to quit your job, that makes you miserable, you feel burnt out, you're overwhelmed in this job, and you've been here for so many years and you want to start your own business and you want to have the kind of freedom that you want to experience, but also the passion for life that running your own business will give you. When you quit your job and you're faced with these challenges and tests and you react negatively, you're like, fuck, I just quit this job and now I'm in this weird financial spot. I don't have money coming in. I'm living off of savings, let's say, or I have minimal amounts of money coming in, and my business hasn't quite taken off, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and then you become negative, right? Your thought energy starts to attune to these negative lifelines. So when that starts to happen, then you actually move towards these negative lifelines. So in these moments, the key thing I want you to take away is your response. Your response to every single event is what dictates which lifeline you move towards. So if you can look at these events that are happening, oh, the bills are coming up, etc., 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 somehow this is a good thing. I can't see it yet, but somehow this is a good thing. Which brings me to the next part. Understanding the difference between intention and action, which is learning how to coordinate your intention. So what does the word coordinating intention mean? When you make an intention, you have to stay true to your resolve. It's not enough to make the intention once. Because if you make the intention once, 1% of the time, but 99% of the time, you're making counter intentions. Well, then your counter intentions are going to manifest, and you'll never be able to manifest the life that you want. But there is a fundamental difference between intention and action. So in that instance of you facing challenges in your reality, you've quit your job, you are going all in on your business, you're facing tests and challenges, well, you have two actions to take. You could A, go back to the job, or B, stay here and work on your business. What do you do, right? My clients always ask me, what should I do? Well, I can't ever tell you what to do because your lifeline is very, very unique to my lifeline. Your path in life is very, very unique to you. However, what I can tell you is I can basically reveal the principles to you that will help you make a better decision. So in order to do this, I want you to consider two different types of entrepreneurs who make a sales presentation. One entrepreneur is very, very confident. They have a very strong resolve. They make the pitch, the same pitch, use the same words, the prospect buys. The other entrepreneur is a new entrepreneur. They're very, very shaky. They're very nervous, but they still make the same pitch. They still use the same words that the other entrepreneur used, but the prospect doesn't buy. Why? Intention is very, very different from the action itself. It's not about the what that's being done. It's about the who that's behind it and how it's done. Who and how is the intention. The what is just the action. So never focus on the action, because in your situation, you might say, you know what? It's silly for me to continue building this business when I'm running out of savings. Maybe I'll get a part-time job so that I can feel less pressure, right? So I feel less pressure. Maybe you're the kind of person who thrives on stability. But if you're, let's say, another kind of person who actually thrives on risk, then you might say, you know what? No, it's all gas and no brakes. We're taking this risk. We're either going to die trying or, it's going to happen. The thing that we want is going to happen. Another way I can demonstrate the difference between action and intention is the three paradigms that reality operates through. The lowest paradigm is the having paradigm, where you just focus on what you can take and what you can have. When you become extremely, extremely results focused and you don't care about the process, you're manipulating reality to get what you want, then you're in the having paradigm. This is the lowest energy paradigm. In this paradigm, you just focus on taking. A level above that is the doing paradigm, when you have a lot more energy. I will do anything. I will launch an attack. You're no longer a victim. Now you're the perpetrator, right? I will fight to get what I want. You're focused on doing. You're focused on the actions. Now, contrary to popular belief, people think, oh, if I just do the right things, I will get what I want. Sure, maybe, but there is another layer to reality that most people don't understand. It's not necessarily what you do, but it's the place that it's coming from. Just like in the example I gave you of the sales presentation, it's the intention behind it, the sub-communication that happens that are beyond the words, okay? Because energy influences reality. And if you come from a low negative energy, then that is what you will keep perpetuating. Anything on the surface becomes irrelevant. So what do most people try to do? They launch a massive attack on the world. They try to rearrange the pieces of reality by manipulating it. They fight to earn their place. They're stuck in this scarcity paradigm that things and resources are limited. People who are true reality creators, what they do is they first focus on being. They are beyond doing and having. You first focus on being and then on doing and then having. Typically, when you just focus on being and who you're becoming, the doing will follow naturally, and then the having will happen. If you become the kind of person who is a successful entrepreneur, and you ask yourself, if I were a successful entrepreneur, what would I do today? How would I take this action? If I were Quazi 2.0, if I were the ideal version of me, how would I take this action? What place would it be coming from? Someone wronged me. If I were the ideal version of me, would I forgive them or would I get revenge? Simple. The answer always becomes clear when this is the first thing on your mind. If I were the ideal version of me, how would I do this? So, one of the most important things you can do is learn how to coordinate your intention. Coordinating intention simply means you make the intention and connect every little event to that intention. Something bad happens, great, this is somehow supporting me in moving towards my goal. Someone sneezes, great, this is somehow helping me moving towards my goal. My car crashes, great, this is somehow a benefit or an advantage, right? So the key thing is you have to train yourself to look for the benefit in everything and how it's helping you, no matter what happens. This is actually very difficult to do because we've been trained in negativity. We've been trained to be negative. A level above that is training to be objective. A level above that is training to literally just see everything as positive, which is very hard to do because you have to be very delusional. But if you look at every single successful person, they claim to be objective, but they're actually very, very delusional. They're seeing how everything is supporting their goal. All of the most successful people in the world, they've gotten there through delusion. Steve Jobs had a delusion of Apple, and his sense of reality was so strong, he created the reality distortion field. He distorted reality, right? Even if you read someone like Elon Musk's biographies, his ex-wife would describe how this is Elon's world and we're just living in it. His sense of reality is so strong, everyone else just falls into it. So you have to have a very clear vision, but also a very strong sense of reality. And I can promise you, anything you want in your life will happen. So now I'd like to share an exercise with you that's going to help you implement this. And this is the exercise I've shared with over 1,500 clients, and every single one of our successful clients has in one way or another applied this. And this exercise is called Finding the Advantage. And before I get to this exercise, I want to share with you the example that really made sense of this for me. Back in 2019, I started my business, my coaching business, because I wanted to quit my 9 to 5. This was January of 2019 that I started it. I was in the second semester of my senior year, and I had a job lined up for me already, an engineering job, paying $60,000 a year, health benefits, everything. It was like the dream come true for a new college graduate. I'd worked a summer internship prior, and this job was lined up for me. But when I was working the summer internship alongside my classes, I was absolutely miserable. I couldn't believe that this is what people do. Like I'd worked different jobs before, and I'm like, wow, a job is definitely not for me. It just locks my heart up in a box. And every single morning, I woke up at like 5 a.m. to go to this job, and I just looked at all of my coworkers, and they were so miserable in this factory. It was a corrugated box plant, and they were trying to stick their arms in the machines to get workers' comp. It was absolutely miserable, and I couldn't fathom spending the next 40 years of my life in this shithole. Like, oh, cool, I'm just gonna rise up the ranks and then do another, maybe climb the ladder, and then what's the best? I'll become the CEO, and then when I'm 65, my bones are all broken, bones are all achy, my joints are achy, and I have no zest for life left because I've just been in a prison for the last 40 years. Then I'll be able to live my life. Why? Why not take the risk now? Why not just do what I want now? I just couldn't do it. I couldn't, because I knew I could see that in a few years down the line, I would be miserable. I would hate it. It would just be an internal battle. And worst of all, I would lose all respect for myself. I'd be like, I can't believe I didn't try. I would have regret not trying at least. So I took the leap and started making these YouTube videos on my other channel. If I don't know if you've been following my other channel or not, but the main channel. And, it started doing quite well. January, I launched my coaching program, and then I started to do, there was no we back then. I started to do I made my first $1,000 in my first month of launching it. And then I was making like 1 to 5,000 a month up until May 2019, which was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, I'm actually making money. And at that time, I had told my parents, like, hey, if I can make 5K a month, which is basically replacing my salary at my job, you can't give me shit for not going into a job, because they'd paid for my college tuition, and so I felt a sense of duty to them, like I owed them, So I told them, like, hey, if I could, do my own business and make money doing it, and I can travel the world and have my time freedom and actually do what I love, you can't give me shit for not going to a 9 to 5. They couldn't fathom it because they're immigrants, they're always like, just take the safe route. It's a guaranteed salary. Just stay with that. Don't try to do anything stupid. I mean, what are you going to do? Make YouTube videos and make money? This is stupid. They just thought it was stupid. They just thought what I was doing was just silly. It's like, okay, cool. This is cute now. Just get it out of your system and then go back to the job. And then I remember May 2019 came. That was the month I was supposed to prove to them that, hey, this is the month. I'm making 5K a month now, and you can't give me shit. I'm not going into the job. I'd already told the internship I won't be taking the offer, and I'm just gonna do my own thing. May 2019 came, the month that I graduated, and that month I made absolutely zero. And that was like the worst month in my business. And I remember that was one of the most painful months of my life, because every single day I'd move back home, and my parents were there, and there was just this like friction between me and my dad especially. He would come into my room every single day and be like, did you make any money yet? Did you make any money today? Every time I would see him in the house, is it working? Is it working? Well, you better go back to that job, right? And I just remember like just not feeling supported. Like, I didn't feel like I was supported by my own parents. And it was extremely hard because I was isolated. It just felt like I was going at this alone, and I had no one. I found like online communities, and I bought like coaching programs, and that's like my friends were online, and even my friends in person, I had to cut them off because I was just following such a different path in life, and I didn't have time to be in Snapchat groups. I was trying to build something. And so May 2019, I remember that month just sitting in the corner of my room and just crying because I had failed. I made nothing that month, and just thinking like, shit, I have to go back to this job. I might have to go back to this job. And I just said, fuck it, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. My parents can kick me out of the house if need be, but I'm not I'm not doing it. And I remember somehow within me looking at this and feeling that, you know what? Somehow this is an advantage. Somehow this is good for me. I can't see how this could have possibly been good for me, but maybe subconsciously I'm learning some lessons that I need to learn to help me become a better entrepreneur. Somehow I spun it off to be positive. And literally the following month, it's like there was flow. Like one of my YouTube videos started to take off, and then clients started to reach out, and then past clients started to, reach out to me saying, "Hey, I'm ready for your coaching now." And I believe the following month, I made my first ever $7,000 month in June of 2019. July of 2019, I made my first 12K month, and August was my first ever $20,000 month. And by Jan of 2020, I made my first $100,000 month. I made $100,000 in a month. What my dad makes in a year, I made in a month. So that completely shocked me. I was like I couldn't fathom, like I couldn't believe what world I was in. But it's because I believe it's because I found the advantage, and I switched this lifeline where me growing this business and having it is possible. But the only way that was possible is because if you look at all of these stories of Steve Jobs, Michael Jordan, you look at J.K. Rowling, even Oprah Winfrey, what's one thing they did? They never gave up. They persisted. You cannot lose if you do not quit. If you just keep going, you can't lose. The only guarantee of failure is what? If you quit. The only guarantee to success is if you just keep going, just keep persisting. So for whoever is watching this right now, whoever you are, whatever it is you're doing right now, just keep going. Give it your whole life. Commit to it fully. No half commitment. For me, I gave my business my whole life. I gave every single part of me to it. And I remember speaking to a client that month, like a prospective client who became a client. He was like, I want to succeed in this more than I want to breathe oxygen. And I was like, wow, I feel that. I feel that resolve that you have. And with that resolve, you'll be able to make what you want materialize into reality. Because for me, there was no choice. I either do this or I die. That's it. There's no other choice. Because if you think about it, if you're pursuing what you truly love, you can't think of anything better you'd do with your life. At that time, even now, I can't think of a single thing that I would rather do than what I'm doing right now. If I knew that there was something better I could be doing, I would be doing that. Thank you for watching.